Well, thanks very much for the comments. I really gained so much from the Hope Springs Up. I was a volunteer in the Bethany project in Aberdeen as well, so I'm aware of the work done. And I just wanted to say there about I totally agree about the flowers that were in Aberdeen. But another example I give you that you might be interested in is that about 7 years ago, the executive of the Heritage Lottery Fund came to Aberdeen to discuss a grant for the art gallery, and they either were or were not going to give us £8 million. And the Lord Provost was going to talk to them. The Lord Provost, right in minutes before he was going to do that, was seized by the winter vomiting disease. And so he's off the chart, and I was stuck with the presentation. It was totally inappropriate to me. And I just said, no, I don't, you know, and in the presentation there was figures about how much economic spin-off there would be from a developed art gallery, and you know, and I said, I don't care at all about the economic spin-off. I don't care if it has no economic effect whatsoever. I just believe that if a young person or an old person wants inspiration from art, they should have an environment where it can happen. And I says, if you think that's important, give us the £8 million. If you don't, don't. So fortunately they did. I'd have been in trouble if they didn't, but thank you.
Thank you. With you?
Just testing it. I just would like to link up with that Hope Springs Up, because I think it's time to think about inspiration and motivation. And I'm just thinking that the Tory Big Noise project, linked up to Sistema, which started off in Venezuela, in the very poor areas of the cities. And I understand that is a good example for children between the ages of 3 and 16, learning instruments, coming together. I hear it's creating a sense of neighbourhood, community, growing self-esteem. Is that project still going? Because that seems like a really good example. If children come together to make music, discover something, their potential, then maybe later on they might think of music in the church, all sorts of things. It's just an upspringing of hope to me, inspiration. How's that going?
Well, yes, it's ongoing and growing. It goes to other places too, and it's very, you know, I do go along, and it's great to see. But I can tell you something within these four walls that the poor parts of Aberdeen are poor, but they're not nearly as poor as the other poor parts that Sistema operates in. And one interesting aspect of that is it's much harder to involve the adults in Aberdeen because they have other things they're working and so forth, which doesn't tend to be a situation in other places. So it's an interesting difference. But yes, I mean, it is a fantastic thing to see in operation. Yeah.
And it's another question? Oh, yes.
It was really in response to a prior question, and I wanted to speak on behalf of churches and behalf of the town council on the question of the homeless. When you walk along the street, and I'm speaking as a former street pastor, we knew the genuine people who were homeless, but there's a lot of people going beg on the streets and are able to make a living out of it, or they can be there just for drugs. So I just wanted to say that the churches do try to help people who are genuinely homeless, and I know that the council have housed so many homeless people, and they continue to do so. So I just wanted to make it clear that it's not everybody that's homeless who's begging on the street.
Thank you. Is it here a little bit further? Where you tried to go before is now a question.
Thank you. I shan't stand. My ankles are killing me just now. Gordon, thank you for your talk. I wasn't quite convinced, sorry. Particularly you spoke about the rise of the sort of sovereign individual. I must admit, I'm going to go with this. I'm quite a big fan of individualism. I think it's quite a good thing. And I think particularly sovereign individuals are good things. But I actually don't think that's what's happening. When you see the people on the streets and they're sitting in the cafes and they're on their phones and they're, you know, demanding internet connections, and they're demanding food, and they're demanding all of these things, they're demanding to be served, but not to serve. And there's a sort of need to it, a need to be entertained, a need to be fed, a need to have your rights, a need to have all of these things. And we have this all the time, but one of the things about community is that it asks things of you. Churches live because people give. They give their time, they clean, they wash, they do services, they do all of these things, and overwhelmingly they do that for free. And communities and neighbourhoods thrive because people go and visit their next door neighbour for nothing. They're not asking something of this. And I'm sort of, you know, the sovereign individual. You know, what we seem to be talking about is a world in which everyone actually looks surprisingly similar for being individuals. They're all sitting there on the same looking phones, and they're eating the similar kinds of food that they're taking photographs of, and they're doing all of this, and that seems to me to be not, sure, it's individual, it's compartmentalized, but it's as individual as a factory farm of chickens, all lined up, each with their own little trough to eat out of, each with their own little phone to show them something on, and everything on those lines. And that doesn't seem to me the kind of individualism that certainly Paul talked about in his letters, when he said that the church was comprised of multiple individuals that are very different from one another. Some of the eye, some of the foot, some of the hand, all of those kinds of things. That's very different because all of them are serving according to their capacities. And I don't actually see very much of the sovereignty of individuals here. I do see a lot of individuals.
Thank you about that. I'm not quite sure where the disagreement lies, or what it is you're not convinced about. I'm not really too concerned to press the idea of sovereign individuality. I will just say this, though, that at the heart of it is the idea of getting what you want. And in community, the heart of it is doing things together. And so the difference that I see is between, as it were, ways of... I happened to be in Waterston's bookshop, just wandering through, and I heard a woman say, I'm looking for the philosophy section, and she wasn't actually, because she didn't mean philosophy as I mean, but she said, I want the books about how you get a better life for yourself. And I thought that's very interesting that, you know, she wants a guide, and she left her friend or acquaintance to go searching for this. And it's that idea that the ultimate touchstone is what will be good for me, what would give me what I want, what would satisfy my desires. And when you move into community, it's not just a matter of how can I serve others. It's something, I think, deep in that says, how can I find myself in these relationships? And of course, often we don't have this problem, we shouldn't anyway, when we're thinking about family relationships, you know, that I am a parent. My son and daughter are sons and daughters. They're not, as it were, just in that for the moment until they get what they want or develop or something. So this idea of belonging and being is what I really want to emphasize. And I do think that a kind of consumerist mentality, which is very prominent and which you're alluding to, is one of the great assets. And my theme was just, you know, we can go along with this inadvertently if we don't watch out.
Thank you. I'm going to make this the last comment, Barney, to you. And then you've done? Okay. Did you have one? David, did you have a question? Okay. I'm going to make this the very last one then. Okay, coming to you. Thank you, David.
I'll try and make it as quick as I can. Gordon, thank you very much. I mean, a good lecture gets you to think, and I just wanted to really share 3 little thoughts that came up and then finish them with a short question. First is basically the importance of community. I began my scientific life as a plant ecologist, working on communities of plants and on basically how they communicate with each other. And all biological communities work because they communicate, and that's critical. And so you're picking up communication in society is important, because I think in some ways the smartphone actually has got people communicating more rather than less. I was just reflecting that 50 years ago when I was first on the London Underground, people didn't communicate. Now, okay, they're working on their smartphones, but they're communicating. So that's important. Second thought was actually the importance of consumerism. A while ago I had to sort of think about how you got changes made, and I've always maintained we have far more power as consumers than we do as citizens. And so if you want change, that's the way to go. And finally, Barney and I were at an event on Tuesday of Grampian Gateway, and we were told that 2/3 of children currently in primary schools will go into careers which at this point in time do not exist. And so that basically for me says, yeah, okay, there may be things going on that we're not happy with, but there is scope to change. So my question to you, Gordon, was basically, you've told us about the importance of community. What are your thoughts in terms of how we move things back to something that we recognise is just that vital?
Well, thank you very much, David. Just to respond to your points, the communication is absolutely essential. The two words are connected for a start. I take your point about smartphones, and I don't want to be all negative and oh, this is a bad thing. I do think, though, just to go back to my mantra about language, it's not insignificant that the term friending and sharing have, I think, been somewhat degraded by their use in this context. And it's a well-known fact, and I'm sure the Lord Provost will share this, that there have been some very striking movements. The Yellow Jackets in France at the moment, the Black Lives Matter, and they are strikingly leaderless. So there are people communicating, but they're not communicating in any way that draws them together. Second thing I'd say is, I don't want to close off the future. The future may indeed have lots of interesting prospects holding at. The idea that 2/3 of the kids will have occupations that we don't know of. This is speculation. I'm willing to say we don't know where the future will take us.
One final thing? Do you want to have another one? This is your last share.
I think that it's interesting that we're trying to grapple with that about what the future will be when we don't know. I think the scale of change, the alarming feature has been the speed of change, and in particular that speed of change in communication. And that speed of change seems likely to me